Hello, today I would like to show you my Twister build. Please understand this is not a build guide or even the most optimized version of Twister or even the most logical version of Twister. If you are interested in a high-end Twister build, this is a cool reference point. I would advise you to take a peek at other people's builds because there are design choices that I made here that are primarily for fun, and we'll get into that later. The footage you're seeing is not the build at full power. This is with a couple bricked Val orbs and some, other shit that we'll get into later. But nonetheless, it's cool. I'm assuming that you have a foundational understanding of how Twister and Whirling Slash work in this video, so I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty details on, just how the actual build itself is basically functioning. But I will get into some of the more cool guy shit that I did here. Every single piece of gear I crafted myself, so I'm excited to show you. Now I'm going to let the video play out, footage play out, and then I'll come back in when we're reviewing the gear, passive tree, and whatnot. Feel free to skip ahead if you're interested. Thanks for watching. Okay, video game players, I'm going to keep this very short. Quick overview on the gear. We have a pretty cool spear, crit chance, crit damage. This is for nuking with Twister. We have fire on it because we're running Trinity. We do run a Palm of the Dreamer, unnecessary. You could run the Chicken Claw, that is a more appropriate option. But I love this item, I just adore it. Increased skill effect duration, max roll, pretty nice. We have a very snazzy chestplate with anointed deadly force. This is very cool because we run a controlled metamorphosis, which allows us to get all the benefit of this cluster without having to actually get in there. We'll get into passive tree shortly. The rest of the gear is pretty standard, nothing too crazy. We anoint vulgar methods. Everything else, run of the mill. We do run a cat charm because it's crazy good. And we have an interesting spear on our back bar. Well, I guess it's actually front bar. For Whirling Slash, we run Fizz, local attack speed, onslaught, and leech. Odd place. I gave birth to this because I missed the frac and it sat in my store, so I decided to try to craft it into what it is now. I ran probably the best unique spear, that attack speed one in the game. Dual socket, max roll lightning, max roll attack speed with an 8% skill speed corruption on it, but I sold it. I felt as though it was disrespectful to Whirling Slash to not give it some damage you saw in the footage before, I can just roll people over and not even have to use Twister if I want, because I do a lot of damage. And the Fizz Leech is actually kind of nice. We're not very tanky with this build, so that extra income on HB goes a long way, just for helping us kind of keep things going. Onslaught, of course, we're farming Onslaught with this, and we have a lot of local attack speed. This, with the sockets I have, is an 828 DPS spear, again with attack speed and spirit. And then this guy is 753 DPS with no local attack speed and no lightning runes, so pretty strong. Let me get into passive tree quick, and I'll show you some fitment things on the skill gems. Alright, let me show you the passive tree real quick. A bit going on here. Main shit is that there's weapon set 1 and 2. If it's red, it's for Whirling Slash, green is for Twister. So anything accuracy or speed related is for Whirling Slash. We come down here, we grab this. We also grab Break Armor here. The reason why is because we farm Frenzy Charges. We actually farm Endurance Charges, and then we switch the Endurance Charges to Frenzy. So we're breaking armor with our Twisters, which is where we're getting our Frenzies from. If it's green, it's for attack speed. Oh, one more thing. This will become obvious later why we're doing this, but weapon set 1 there for Spirit Reservation. Green is for crit chance, so it's for Twister, so all that. And then over here, this is also weapon set 2, because reduced accuracy is obviously pretty impactful. Over here, weapon set 1, accuracy, weapon set 2, crit chance, weapon set 2, projectile speed and damage, weapon set 2, crit, and then we anoint the deadly force. This could be a little bit better, -7, I don't care, whatever. Weapon set 2, crit chance. Let's look at the diamonds really quick. So we have a Meglio that is giving us AoE, and it's giving us melee damage while we're surrounded all the time, and projectile damage when nobody's near us, which is pretty much any time we cast Twister. We're running a Walker of the Wilds from nothing. We'll get back to that in a second. This is kind of interesting. I ran extra crit for a while, but I swapped it out for this. Reason being is I wanted Rage on my Jewel, and I kind of got this. I went through a couple of these. I actually made this one myself. The evasion is nice because we're not very tanky, so a little bit, it's cool. Extra cold is nice for trying to balance Trinity, but not really. Attack speed, whatever. And then the Rage on melee hit is genuinely very nice, because as we're plowing through the map, we're hitting tons and tons of enemies. We're getting basically full max Rage. So as I kind of run a couple people, oh, big pack of ads, let me swap to Twister and cast it. When I cast a Twister, we're at basically max Rage, which is why we do so much damage. We can get above 1,000,000 DPS on Twister in maps. Pretty cool. So that really helps. It flows well with the build. It feels appropriate, and I like it. It's adding an extra layer of depth to the build. Over here we got a pretty cool jewel, so attack speed, projectile speed, companion damage, and then attack speed with quarterstaffs, whatever, that got valed on. Walker of the Wilds comes up here. Unfortunately, I bricked the Valorb on this. It was 4.3%, turned into 2.2%, and all the footage that you saw is with a 2.2%, so whatever, whatever. Everything here, I'm not going to get too much in detail, but all of this is giving us tons of benefit. Walker of the Wild is enabling this to all fit in nice. We are stacking extra frenzy charges. We're getting more evasion, all the companion shit. And then the control metamorphosis going crazy over there. We do run Dance with Death. So overall, pretty smooth. Nothing too sophisticated here. For DeadEye, this is what we're running, obviously to give us more frenzy charges and tailwind, which is nice. And that's what I cooked up here. You know, very very strong. I like it a lot. Let me show you some skill gem things. I'm not gonna get into the detail. I'll let a video play at the end where I just go through all the support gems kind of one by one. But I'll show you quick. You'll see that we toggle some of these spirit abilities, and our companion stays on all the time. Our companion's goated, extra fizz damage aura, so 40% increased fizz damage for me and whoever I'm with, and trail of lightning. He also doesn't take damage and can't die, so or doesn't do damage but can't die, so he's up all the time. Trail of lightning gives us lightning, tornadoes and shit very very commonly. We pair that with frost nexus, so as our herald of thunder fucking shits on everybody, it puts chill ground. This is gonna basically let me alternate between cold tornadoes, lightning tornado, cold tornado, lightning tornado, and we have a lot of fire damage. We got fire on our shit here. Oops, sorry, fire on our shit here. Fire, fire, you know, whatever. In theory, if you ran the chicken claw, which again is the more appropriate choice, you'd have fire there, and that would help balance everything out. I'll give you a peek quick here. Our damage is not particularly balanced. Our fizz and fire are close. Our cold and lightning are pretty far behind, but again, we are commonly doing lightning twisters, so that kind of gets jumped up. Oh, and we also have cold conflict. We also have elemental conflicts going all the time. So let me show you that quick. So as you can see, we toggle between the we toggle our shit here. So as we're plowing through the map, we got Wind Dancer, our companion, and elemental conflicts. You'll notice in the top of the screen that our conflicts is coming on and off, right? So you got cold conflicts. If you look up top, we got lightning conflicts. Well, when I swap, you'll notice that elemental conflicts is actually disabled. We're not paying for it anymore, but we still get the buff. So this means that as I'm rolling around, I'm stacking my rage, I got my conflicts going, I switch to pop twister, I still have the buff from conflicts, giving me a significant jump in elemental damage, 73% more actually. Pretty cool. Trinity, we'll actually go back to Trinity in a sec. So Wind Dancer, Herald of Thunder, the only notable thing is that we're running Frost Nexus again, we mentioned that. Yeah, now Trinity is for balancing damage. So when we swap, same thing. So as I cast my Twister and I activate Trinity, and then I switch back to Whirling Slash, in the gameplay footage you'll notice that Trinity is active all the time. So it's kind of the same mechanic there that Elemental Conflicts is doing, but it's happening for Trinity. And although we're not actually that balanced, I find it just way too difficult to balance something like this elementally. We get good uptime on 2 full bars, sometimes 3 full bars, sometimes 2.5 bars, and that is significant damage. So we're happy with that. I'm not going to balance it any further, but this is why we have to fit this shit in here, right here, to make weapon set 1 fit. This is also why we run spirit on the weapon, to make the spirit all fit. Pretty cool. And then the rest of the build, again, I'll go through at the end. I'll play a little clip of just going through one by one of all the different gems. But that's the primary setup. So overall, pretty cool. We're snapshotting Elemental Conflux and Trinity. We are giving ourselves cold and lightning twisters all the time. We have Herald of Thunder and the Gloom Shrine effect going on. Defensively, we're good enough. I don't die unless I... One thing I have to mention with this build is it fucking nukes my game. If I'm running like T16 Abyss, dude, it almost doesn't work. I have a very, very, very top end, very expensive computer, and it essentially doesn't work. I will freeze almost every other map, sometimes 2 to 3 times per map, and I have died because of that. So that's why I'm also leveled 95, because I just gave up on the idea of staying alive with this build. Not necessarily the build's fault, although I do have 69 fire res, I do only have 61% evasion, and I don't have that much life. Honestly, that's not the problem. The problem is the game running well, to be completely honest. We do also have the Fizz Leech, which is keeping us alive a little bit. So, you know, not too bad. The reason that we're at 69 fire and 72 lightning is because I haven't fixed the T4 fire res on this ring, and I haven't like divined some of this shit to fix the lightning. I just don't care. Honestly, I don't care. I don't ever die because of this. And even if I do die, I don't give a fuck, dude. I just don't care. So if I just had a little bit more motivation, I would just fix that, and this would be triple 75. It's not really a build problem. It's just a laziness problem. So pretty good. So thank you very much for checking this out. If you're not me or one of my friends watching this and you're curious about something, please feel free to comment on the video and I will respond to the comment. I understand this video is hastily made and I didn't really get into too much detail. Again, if you're interested in this kind of build, I would advise you to take a peek at other people's builds because other people have made more sensible, logical versions of this build. This is more of just an example of a variation of Twister that I think is fun, cool, sweaty, interesting. Every single piece I craft myself, and I'm pretty proud of that considering I was not able to do this last league. That is a significant increase in my personal Path of Exile 2 skill. I could have min-maxed this a lot further, but again, I wasted thousands and thousands of Divine playing and learning and experimenting. I've made multiple other characters, and I'm not that serious this league. So next league, we will be a little bit more sweaty, financially sweaty, and we will likely have all T1 everything on everything that I make. But for now, the goal was make a really, really cool build and expand my personal skill, knowledge, and experience in this game, and that's what I did. So thanks for watching. I appreciate you spending the time. Enjoy and go have fun making a Twister build. It's totally worth it. Games, but it's gonna get nerfed for sure. So take advantage while you can.